Hi everybody and welcome back. My name's Melissa and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. Today I want to talk about corporate food. We've already established corporations are not people. Corporations are not friends. Corporations are evil robber barons. Period. For the purpose of this discussion, I am talking about like your mega corporations like Walmart, McDonald's, Ford, not like your small mom and pop guy who owns 2 pizza shops and put a corporation, LLC, S Corp, something to make insurance and everything easier. So now that we've established that, let's talk about food corporations. First of all, not many different corporations in the food industry. A lot of subsidiaries under them, but pretty much only a few of them that really control what we eat. Now, remember, corporations' number one goal is profits, and they want to keep increasing those profits year after year. So there's a couple of ways they do it. One, they keep wages low. They do whatever they can to suppress those wages while continually criticizing workers that work on farms, workers that work in meatpacking areas, workers that work in grocery stores. Because it's a lot easier to say those people are lazy and good for nothing and they're just not wanting to hard work than to actually pay them what they are worth, especially when a lot of them are doing back-breaking labor or risking, limbs, literally risking their hands, arms, everything every time they go to work so that we can eat. I think we should appreciate those people, not call them lazy. And then, while they are feeding us, they frequently do not make enough money to live and have to be on food stamps, which is then again subsidizing corporations because corporations are not paying the employees what they are worth. Corporations are constantly making money. It's not like they're losing money, and that's why they had to cut wages. And what really irks me is that a lot of people who are shareholders and hold a significant portion will sit there and complain about these lazy workers. Well, they sit on their ass with stocks, collecting dividends, making more than the lazy workers. And to all of you who sit there and say, oh, but I've invested more and that's why I get dividends, go out and get a real job. For you, go out and get a real job and quit calling people who actually have to go to work lazy. Okay, now that I've had that tirade, let's move on. So, good thing about food is it's a consumable. You and I are going to keep eating. We're going to keep eating every day. It's not like we can just stop. However, society has shifted and they have done a few things successfully. One, they keep us working all the time instead of having one worker household. Now it's 2. Add that to the societal shift of kids having to be in so many activities. If you don't have your kid in 2 or 3 activities, you are judged as a parent, as a bad parent frequently because you are not running your kid here, there, and everywhere. So mom and dad go to work, then they come home, they run the kids here, there, and everywhere, help them with their homework, get them to bed, and, feed them at some point in there. Obviously, pretty exhausting day, right? So you've now got to add different time to cook. So now let's go back to the food companies. I know I'm kind of going back and forth here, but I'm trying to wrap this up. The video keeps going well over 20 minutes. So in order to increase profits, there's a few things they can do. My main meat is chicken. So we're going to go with the chicken because that's what I'm familiar with. First thing they can do is they can get me to eat more chicken. So now instead of eating 1.5 pounds of chicken a week, they can get me to eat 2 pounds of chicken or 3 pounds of chicken a week. Yay, they've made more money. But what happens to me now that I've consumed twice the amount of chicken that I normally eat? 2, they can get me to change my meat or upgrade my meat. So instead of chicken, they can get me to eat steak. Instead of steak, then they can get me to eat filet. It just more and more expensive. Chances are you're not going to be very successful at that route. 3, they can cheapen the product. Now I get whole chicken breasts. So there's not much you can do. Though they add more and more water each time. And you'll start to notice, like, if you've been cooking from scratch and eating similar foods for the past like 20 years, I feel like chicken is the most obvious in. Have you noticed like how much chicken cooks down now because they insert that water in it? Okay, so they can do that. Or they can kind of like shift everything. So I really like chicken. I'm really busy. We will cook it for you. All you have to do is put it in the microwave, beep, 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 press it, walk away, and it's done. Yay, me. So then I look, and so now I want chicken parmesan. I no longer have to bake the chicken breast. I no longer have to cook the pasta. I can just take it from the refrigerator, put it in the microwave. Again, all set. So how can they then cheapen the meat? Well, let's see, like they can use things like congealed beef product instead of steak. They can make it breaded chicken so that instead of like a whole chicken breast, they use like ground up chicken, like a great big chicken nugget, but it's patty or whatever. They can decrease the portion sizes. They can add extra salt or sugar to make us more like choose to eat it. I personally think they have too much salt, and I really don't find there's like 300 calories I've noticed or so on most microwave meals. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 300 calories or so. One, that's not really a meal. Two, and I mean it could be because all the textures are wrong. So if I'm eating a microwave dinner, chances are half of it's still left because like the texture was wrong. But not filling, really expensive, and I can make them for a quarter to a third the price. So shifting our eating habits is another way they've done it. And again, they now have two parents working, kids doing a bunch of things. So now you come home, mom, dad, they don't have the energy to, you know, trim the chicken and cut the veggies and cook the this and brown the that. And, you know, mom's gone at work all day, so she can't be at home having the pot roast or the soup or the whatever on the stove cooking all day. I mean, there's crock pots, but whatever. You know, so you don't have that as readily available. So what happens? You grab, you know, TV dinners, you grab frozen chicken nuggets. Breakfast is Eggo waffles. I shop for people. I do Shipt, so I shop for people all the time. And the number of families, at least 50% of the people who I shop for, focus mainly on, they will get things like pasta, ramen, a few frozen pizzas, chicken nuggets, Eggo waffles, maybe some like banquet sausages, bread, a couple of produce items, some lunch meat, some cheese, some sort of like soup, and yogurt is a big one, milk, cereal, and maybe a package of meat, maybe a package of chicken or beef or burger. Typically, if they get a package of ground beef, it's ground beef, taco seasoning, and some sort of taco shell. So, you know, this is what we're feeding our kids, what we're feeding our parents, what we're feeding ourselves. And when you feed yourself low quality, low nutrient food, you're not getting the nutrients you need, and you get stuck in this endless loop, this endless cycle. Now, I happen to feel this more acutely. I don't know if acute's the right word. Anyways, I notice, like, if I eat junk food today, I am tired because I don't have energy, but I also have consumed more calories. And so I'm both tired, but can't fall asleep. It sucks. Because it's like my body has too much energy. I know tomorrow my muscles will feel weak. I will probably at some point feel like I'm walking through water. Right now my tummy feels like crap. It's hard to breathe. All sorts of negative things. I feel this more intensely than a lot of people. So maybe you eat junk food and you don't feel the shift in your body. You don't notice that you're more tired the next day. You pop some more caffeine in you, a couple extra cups of coffee, whatever, and you're fine. But because I feel this, and because I did change how I eat and what I eat and the coffee thing and everything, I noticed how it feels in my body, and I feel it a little more intensely. And I figure if I'm feeling it and going through it, other people are too. Whether you're feeling it or not, I don't know. But if low quality food is giving me low energy, it's probably giving you low energy too, whether you feel it or not. And people are like, oh, I don't have low energy because you've always had like a lower quality diet. But, and again, this is not a criticism of households or individuals. This is a societal issue and a corporate problem I am talking about, not criticizing individuals. And so, so what do we do about it? We can, I'm really hoping, this is like the third take. So if this is a repeat and I've said this already, I'll just cut it out and go to the thing. What can we do if we are stuck in this endless loop of work and kids' activities and low quality food and constant exhaustion? A few things. One, you can batch cook. So I don't mind eating the same thing every day. I have had the same breakfast for over a year. I went through like a 3 or 4 month period from like November or so to February-ish, where almost every night I had a ham and cheese omelet with onions and peppers. Sometimes I have rice with it or bread with it, toast with it or whatever, maybe hash browns, but an omelet almost every night. And it was when eggs were super expensive. I mean, I was getting them for like $2.99 a dozen, so not so bad. Like $3 to $3.50 a dozen. But I at one point I had like 10 dozen eggs in my fridge. It was so weird. But so you can batch cook. You'll be stuck eating the same thing every day, but it's easy. You really only have to cook one day and then just eat the same thing for the week. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you can't eat the same thing every day for the week. So here's another option. Instead of batch cooking one meal, batch cook two. Now this is going to be really boring for the first month or two. Because the thing is that cooking a single batch chili versus a triple batch chili is the same. It's virtually the same amount of work. So choose two meals, one that's like really easy to batch cook and one can be a little bit more difficult. But the point is one you want to pretty much like get it going and be able to set it and forget it. Another one you can put a little more effort into it. So keep enough for dinners for the week, 3 or 4 nights each. And then separate the others out into, you can separate them out into individual servings or enough servings for the week. You can vary depending on how big your household is. You're going to want to put them in Ziploc baggies or reusable storage containers, whatever your preference is. Put them in the freezer and save them for later. And for anybody who's like, oh, Ziploc baggies aren't earth friendly, what do you think all that plastic packaging in your TV dinners is? I guarantee a box of Ziplocs is a lot more eco-friendly than, what is it? Let me see. How many bags come in? 40 Ziploc bags versus 40 TV dinners. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that. So you can do that. So eat the same thing, batch cook 2 meals, 1 day a week, whatever your day off is, every day for a month or 2, and then you'll have them collected. Always go with different meals, so don't do chili every week. Do like chili and then something else, and then 2 different meals, like, I don't know, chicken and broccoli or whatever. Things you like, things you eat. And then you have a stockpile, and then eventually you can get to the point where you're eating like cooking one meal a week. You're eating that 2 or 3 days, putting the rest in, and then you can pull 1 or 2 different meals out, maybe even 3, depending on how you've set them up, and eat those throughout the week too. So you've essentially made your own frozen dinners, and you've known what's going into them. Third option, or fourth, I can't remember, third, you can batch cook with friends. So maybe one person makes chili, one person makes chicken and broccoli, one person makes chicken noodle soup. Excuse me. Then each person only has to make one meal. You make it in a big batch. You can still freeze some if you want, but then you make an agreement with your friends that, okay, let's say there's 3 of us, so we will cook enough. We will each share 2 meals with each person. So then you get essentially 3 meals of your own food that you cooked, and then 2 meals from each friend. That's your 7 dinners. You can eventually start getting to the point where you're also, once you have gotten it set, you can start getting to the point where you're able to also modify and add in. So you have lunches that are easy to cook. You can do things like prep veggies, so that like when I was doing the omelets, I had diced onion, diced pepper, and diced ham always ready to go, so I could just like start cooking. There are tons of things you can do to simplify cooking as you go to make it easier so that you can have grab and go meals, to not be eating so much ultra processed food and contributing to food corporations and food giants. Because remember, corporations are evil. They just want to take your money. They are robber barons. They are not people. So figure out a way to kind of minimize your dependence on the food corporations, or at least try and be eating healthier food that you cook yourself, so that it increases your energy, increases your health. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything. This is just my experience. You know, when one small serving of food provides half of your salt for the day, do the math. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa. This year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.